Hello, and thank you for your interest in our Language Cert qualifications. This video aims to introduce you to the listening and reading component of the LTE 4-skill qualification. The listening and reading component of the LTE 4-skill test is available in two formats, in a paper-based format as well as in a computer-based format, and more precisely in a computer adaptive test format. Please note that the content of both formats of the test is identical, and both formats of the test lead to the same certificate. Also be informed or remember that the computer adaptive test adjusts to the individual test taker. In the tables hereby, you can see the key features of the paper-based and computer-based format of the examinations. You can also see the duration of each component, as well as details about their structure, the number of parts, and the number of items. You will notice that should the test taker opt for the computer-based format of the examination, the duration of the computer adaptive test is significantly shorter, approximately 60 minutes, compared to the duration of the paper-based test, which is 120 minutes. You will notice too that the number of items of the computer-based test is significantly smaller, 58 items, compared to the number of items of the paper-based test, 110 items. This is due to the fact that the computer-based test is adaptive. That is, it adapts or adjusts to the test taker's level in real time. Therefore, less time and fewer items are required to assess the test taker's level. One more clarification. Should the test taker decide to take this format of the LTE listening and reading examinations, they are given 90 minutes, although most of the time they need approximately 60 minutes to complete it. Let's now briefly refer to the main features of the listening section. As we're about to find out on the next slides, test takers are presented with 4 task types, which assess them across 6 levels of the CFR, A1 through C2. All listening tasks revolve around work-related spoken material used in short utterances, dialogues, longer conversations, interviews, podcasts, or talks. The test taker is, for example, asked to listen for gist of a whole extract, for specific detail, or for the speaker's opinion. Regarding the accents, test takers here, there is a mix of accents, for example, North American, Standard or Regional British English, or Australasian. Here are a few samples of listening tasks. They have all been taken from the official practice papers you will find on our website, all of them readily downloadable. This first example is taken from part 1 of the listening examination, which assesses ability to understand key information in short spoken utterances. In terms of task type and format, test takers hear the utterances twice, need to identify the correct word or image that matches what is heard. Each utterance is followed by one 3-option multiple-choice item. As far as the paper-based test is concerned, there are 8 short spoken utterances with 1 mark for each correct response. As far as the computer adaptive test is concerned now, the exact selection of items will depend on the test taker's performance. This clarification goes for all computer-based listening and reading tasks which follow. This sample is from Part 2A which aims to assess ability to understand the functional use of a single utterance heard in work-related contexts. The utterances are heard twice, and test takers are asked to identify the most appropriate functional response. Each utterance is followed by a 3-option multiple-choice item. As regards the paper-based test, there are 5 short utterances with 1 mark for each correct response. Here is an example taken from Part 2b. This task aims to assess ability to recognize context, meaning, and functional relationships in short dialogues. Dialogues are heard twice, and the test taker is required to identify the most appropriate response to continue or finish each dialogue. Each dialogue is followed by a 3-option multiple-choice item. The paper-based test presents 10 incomplete dialogues with 1 mark for each correct response. Here is a sample of Part 3. This task assesses ability to identify specific aspects, such as opinion or attitude of speakers, and functional relationships, for example, cause and result, in short conversations. On work-related topics. Conversations are heard twice, and the test taker needs to identify the correct answer. Each conversation is followed by 2 3-option multiple-choice items. The paper-based test consists of 6 conversations, 12 items in total. 1 mark is awarded for each correct response. This sample is representative of Part 4, which aims to assess ability to listen for specific information in a longer text and identify certain aspects, such as attitudes, purpose, agreement or disagreement, or distinguishing fact from opinion. The recording, which may be a monologue or a dialogue, is heard twice, and the test taker is asked to identify the correct answer. Each monologue or dialogue is followed by 5 3-option multiple-choice items. The paper-based test consists of 3 monologues or dialogues, with 1 mark for each correct response. Let's now briefly refer to the main features of the reading section. The reading tasks present the test taker with short and long authentic texts on work-related topics. What is assessed here is the test taker's ability to understand the main idea of a text, specific information, any line of argument, etc. What is also assessed is the test taker's understanding and awareness of language, with items focusing on vocabulary and lexicogrammatical knowledge. This sample has been taken from Part 1, which assesses ability to understand the main idea of very short texts. The texts may be signs, notices, messages, etc. And the test taker is required to answer 1 3-option multiple-choice item per text. The paper-based test presents test takers with 7 short texts, with 1 mark for each correct response. The next reading sample is a close taken from Part 2, which aims to assess awareness of vocabulary, collocations, and lexicogrammatical structures. Test takers are required to read short texts or extracts and need to choose the correct option that best fits each gap. There are 3 gapped texts and 15 items in the paper-based test. 1 mark is awarded per correct response. This sample is from Part 3, which assesses awareness of vocabulary, collocations, and lexicogrammatical structures. Here, test takers are required to read single sentences and need to choose the correct option that best fills each gap. The paper-based test presents them with 23 gapped sentences with 1 mark for each correct sentence. Here is a sample from Part 4, which aims to assess detailed understanding of information, opinions, and writer purpose. This part consists of longer texts, and the test taker is asked to choose the correct response from multiple choice options. In this part of the paper-based test, there are 3 texts, each followed by 5 3-option multiple choice items. 1 mark is awarded for each correct response. Let's now briefly refer to how the listening and reading components are scored. Test takers taking the paper-based or the computer-based format of the test receive a score per skill assessed within a scale from 0 to 100, aligned to the 6 CFR levels, A1 through C2. They also receive an overall score and a corresponding CFR level. Please note that test takers need to attain at least 10 marks out of 100 marks to be awarded a certificate. For more details about scoring, please refer to our website.